This is a song called In My Shoes by Colin and Caroline. They're a group from Virginia that has built a large Spotify following, doing mostly acoustic covers of popular songs, and I've mixed some of that stuff. Lately, they've been doing more original songs, and I've just fallen in love with their music and their vibe. And when I started mixing this song, I just really got into it, and I thought, oh, it'd be really cool to put an organ in this song. So I hit them up and asked them, would it be all right if I did that? And they're like, cool. So I hit up Brandon Bush here in Atlanta, who is a guy I've wanted to work with for a really long time, and asked him if he'd be interested. I sent him a rough mix, and he was like, yeah, come on down. So I headed down to his studio in Decatur, Georgia, which I think he calls the Shack, and he shares with his brother, Christian Bush, from the group Sugarland. And it's a cool studio. He's got quite a rig down there. I wish I'd taken some pictures, but I was just focused on work, and, you know, it's how it goes with me. Nowadays, when people record organ, they're typically pulling up a native instrument plugin or something like that, and some of those sound pretty good, but man, I gotta tell you, there's nothing like the real thing. No two Hammond organs sound the same, whether you're on a B3 or a C3 or there's multiple models of these things. Every single one is different. Most of the best ones were probably made in the late 60s or early 70s, and they're still in use today. The one we used on this song is Brandon's Hammond B3 with a Leslie 122 cabinet. Now, what makes these things very unique is the circuitry, just kind of the mechanics of it, but also the rotary cabinet. And I'm going to show you some pictures here. As you see, with the Leslie rotary cabinet, you've got two basic parts. You've got these top horns at the top that are spinning, and then you've got a lower one that's mostly lower tones at the bottom that is a speaker pointing down that's projecting sound into this spinning drum type thing that has these paddles, or I don't even know how to explain it. But what's going on is that these are spinning at different speeds and opposite directions. The player can control the speed of these things as they're playing. Here's a video of Marty Kearns at 800 East recording organ for me on another project. And you can see that he's flipping this switch here with his left hand. That's changing the speed of the horn and this rotating drum. And what's happening is you're getting a Doppler effect. And for those of you who don't know what the Doppler effect is, that's like when you hear a police siren or an ambulance siren coming up to you and it sounds higher pitched, and right when it passes, the pitch drops a little bit. That's because if something's making a sound and it's coming towards you at a high speed, it's literally compressing the sound waves and thus creating a higher pitch. When it passes you and it's going away from you at a high speed, it's drawing out the sound waves, which actually creates a lower pitch. Well, this Leslie cabinet is doing the same thing as it's spinning. That's where you get that sound. The other thing that's going on is that often the organ player will adjust the drawbars during the song. If you look right here, it looks like Brandon is actually adjusting the drawbars on this section. And they've also got the top keyboard and the lower keyboard, which has their own separate drawbars and this kind of infinite amount of tones and expression that you're never going to get out of a plugin. The way I like to mic these things up is typically I put two Sennheiser 421s on opposite sides of the cabinet and an RE20 down by the bottom. Now, the way I recorded organ on this song was a little different. Actually, I didn't have to do any of the setup because my friend Luke Campolietta works at this studio with them, and he got it all set up for me because he's down there all the time. He had two Shure SM57s about a couple inches out from the top horns, about 2.5 feet apart, and then he had a Shure SM7 down on the bottom section. He was running those into an API console and through Empirical Labs Fatso for the top two microphones. And when you're mixing it, you take those two top mics and hard pan them left and right, and then you take that lower microphone that you've got on the lower section and you put it straight up the middle and just kind of balance it how you want it. Now, folks, I'm just scratching the surface when it comes to, you know, how Hammond B3s and the Leslie cabinets work and, the miking techniques. There's a lot more than what I've described here. If you're interested, I'm going to post some links in my YouTube's description area if you want to do more research on it. I suggest you do. There's a lot more here. Now, there's something I want to say about Colin and Caroline's music and how it makes me feel, but I need to kind of explain it a little bit. When I was first told about them by their manager, Michael Allenby, who hooked me up with them, I asked him, what kind of music do they do? And he said, middle of the road. Now, the term middle of the road to me means something that is just kind of, something that anybody would like and is very safe and kind of boring or whatever. That's how I interpreted it. But when I started listening to the music, I was like, wow, I really like this stuff. Like it's really affecting me and really emotionally having this impact on me. And I couldn't figure out why, but the more I've thought about it, I think it's that over the last 10 or 15 years or more, it seems like musical artists are trying so hard to shock you and trying so hard to be hard and edgy and dangerous and all that, that's just gotten boring, to put on a song and hear, hey, yo, it's like, whatever, man. It's like, to me, now that seems the middle of the road. That seems passé and boring. And it's gotten to this way with music now that when you hear somebody doing something beautiful and daring to show some vulnerability, now that seems edgy to me. That seems cutting edge, that somebody would actually dare to be beautiful. You know what I'm saying? That's my take on it. That's how I feel about this music. Anyway, I'd just like to thank once again Brandon Bush for putting his magic on this track. Make sure to go check out Colin and Caroline on Spotify. I'll put a link in my YouTube's description area. And remember to subscribe. And thanks for watching.
I've never walked a mile in my shoes, so you don't know what it feels like to be in love with you.